Patricio Guzman has spent his life chronicling the soul of Chile. Separated by nearly 50 years, his monumental three-part documentary, The Battle of Chile, released between 1975 and 1979, and My Imaginary Country, released in 2022, offer two distinct cinematic responses to national trauma and resistance. By comparing the style and focus of the Battle of Chile with My Imaginary Country, we can track Guzman's transformation from a militant chronicler to a wiser, more reflective documentarian, demonstrating how the nation's politics have changed and how the task of documenting it has changed with it. The Battle of Chile showcases the desperate final year of Salvador Allende's democratic socialist government, just before the Pinochet-led military coup of 1973. Guzman and his small committed team risked their lives to film what they knew was a turning point in history. Guzman and his crew adopted a semi-clandestine method, using a single camera and a sound recorder to capture events as they happened. There are no sit-down interviews, just the chaotic reality of a society unraveling. The focus was on the movements of class struggle, the mass protests, the government's response, and the efforts of the working class to build a movement. By contrast, My Imaginary Country is a retrospective look at the social uprising in October 2019. A mass mobilization against decades of inequality left over from the Pinochet dictatorship. Guzman, now in his 80s, admits he was taken by surprise by the protests and wasn't there to shoot before the first flame. The film is not a real-time chronicle, but rather a hopeful attempt to understand the present and its connection to the past. The style in My Imaginary Country is more conventional and polished. Instead of the rawness of using a single camera, like in the Battle of Chile, Guzman uses a combination of professional footage, cell phone clips from Chilean citizens, and formal seated interviews.
Nosotros nos movemos por el amor, nos movemos por el coraje, por la valentía y porque necesitamos luchar.
His narration is wiser and more reflective, a stark contrast to the authoritative tone he used in the Battle of Chile. The film's protagonists are now primarily women and young people, including activists, students, and feminists. This is a conscious decision to move away from the predominantly male repertoire of voices in his earlier work. The core of My Imaginary Country is a study in reawakening. Guzman openly expresses his initial bewilderment at the scale of the uprising, saying things like,
Nunca imaginé que esta sería la chispa que incendiaría el país. Yo nunca pensé volver a ver esto aquí como lo viví hace más de 40 años.
This self-reflective narration places the filmmaker in a position of catching up to his country, seeking to suture this gap between him and the new generation. While these two documentaries share the same DNA, they grapple with fundamentally different cinematic dilemmas. The Battle of Chile was conceived as a historical document that would remain relevant for years and act as a message for future revolutionaries. It documented an event that had concluded with a tragic defeat, an autopsy of a failed revolution. My Imaginary Country, on the other hand, was released mid-process with the goal of influencing public debate around the Constitutional Convention. The film documents the high optimism of a movement that was not yet over, which led to a sense of political disjointedness when the progressive constitutional draft was later rejected by voters after the film's release. Ultimately, the comparison reveals Guzman's enduring commitment, an unbroken cinematic thread linking the hope and betrayal of the 1970s to the hope and uncertainty of the 21st century. The Battle of Chile is essential for understanding the how of the dictatorship's rise. My Imaginary Country is essential for understanding the what of the resistance that endures. Together, they form a unified record of the half-century-long battle for the soul of Chile.